Alexandra Geczi, an attorney and mediator in Dallas, Texas. I have a law firm that empowers women and their families to have a fresh start and a chance at a better life. So today's topic is going to be about tackling debt. This is a tricky one we deal with a lot in our practice. And we're not experts, but we have learned a thing or two on our journey. And so times of crisis can actually be a great opportunity to examine and either reduce or eliminate debt so that you can not only survive a crisis and bad situations, but maybe even thrive in them. So let's dive in. So first, I'd like to start off by telling you about my own personal experience with debt. Not only do we help our clients with debt issues on an almost daily basis, but about 15 years ago, my husband and I found ourselves swimming in about $40,000 worth of debt. We had gotten there by spending mindlessly on things that we couldn't really afford and not earning enough money to pay for the things that we were buying. Our pleasures were usually travel and eating out and things like that. So that racked up some debt pretty quickly over a short period of time. As a result, we were really stressed out and we felt like we were basically drowning in a pit that we would never get out of. And it certainly didn't help our relationship any. And certainly, you know, I think at that point in our lives, we may have even broken up, been close to breaking up. Luckily we didn't and things worked out. But I mean, financial pressure is a big stressor on a marriage. But eventually we got our act together and we paid off our debt. It took almost 5 years and we had several setbacks along the way, but we did it by basically earning more money, looking for opportunities to earn more money, cutting back on our expenses and being disciplined about that, and applying some of the some simple debt reduction strategies. And so this webinar is going to focus on that last part of it, which is some of the debt reduction strategies. Second, I'd like us to discuss why getting your debt under control is important. The number one reason is going to be credit. If you want to improve your life, having good credit is fundamental. Having good credit is going to allow you to live in places that are better. You are going to have better interest rates on loans and credit cards when you need them. You're going to have more opportunities for people and lenders to lend you money when you need it. And it can help you basically achieve more financial goals. Instead of paying down the debt, you'll be able to buy the things that are really worth the investment. Now you can stay on top of your credit by reviewing your credit report and your credit score regularly. So there are lots of credit monitoring websites and apps out there. Some charge fees and others don't. There's some big names in the business like Credit Karma and Mint, and they help you track charges and basically track your spending and help you with credit reporting and stuff like that. And then a lot of the big banks have them too. Off the top of my head, like Capital One comes to mind. I think they've got something, and there was another bank recently that I saw something for too. So, you know, there's a lot of those things out there that can be very helpful. But at a minimum, you should be pulling your credit report once a year from one of the 3 major credit reporting bureaus. And you can do that for free at annualcreditreport.com. Again, that's annualcreditreport.com, and we'll send you a link afterwards. But that is the only site that the US government approves and has authorized every American every American is entitled to a free credit report from this website every year. So it's a free credit report from each of the 3 agencies. So actually you end up with being able to get 3 credit reports a year. If you just maybe want to stagger them, you can pull them all at once, or you can stagger them throughout the year. And each report is going to be a little bit different, but generally they're going to show the same sorts of information. It's an easy, free resource, so why not use it? Once you've pulled your credit report, take a look at it, review it, check it for errors and outstanding debts. And if you find errors, be sure to follow the instructions on the report on how to dispute these errors. You can also Google how to dispute an error on my credit report, and lots of websites will show you, go through a process and talk you through or step-by-step show you how to dispute an error on your credit report. Just out of curiosity, I'm not going to really go too much into credit reports and stuff, but would anyone watching the webinar want something like a webinar or a video that shows you how to pull a credit report and how to report an error that they find on the credit report? If so, let me know in the chat box. And we can go ahead and put something together for you guys on that too. All right, let's see here. You know, you can also consider working with third parties to repair your credit. But before you do, keep in mind that there are a lot of scammers out there, and they're not all reputable. So do your research and understand what it is that you want, what your goals are, and what you're going to be getting. Please read the fine print. Now, to help you through that process and kind of figure out, you know, all these different options that you have out there, I wanted to go over some definitions, common definitions and terms that you may hear during this process. So I'm going to run through them real quick and then I'll define each one. So you have debt consolidation, debt settlement, debt management, credit repair, bankruptcy, unsecured debt, and secured debt. So those are all terms that you should become familiar with, so you know the differences between them when you're trying to figure out how to, what to do, what strategies to apply to your specific debt and your situation. So let's talk about debt consolidation. Debt consolidation is an effort to combine debts from several creditors, put them into one, and you take out a loan, a single loan, to pay off all the different creditors and basically put it into one place. And hopefully you're going to do it at a reduced interest rate than all the other places that you were paying, and then lower your monthly overall payment. So that's what debt consolidation is. Now, debt settlement is not a loan. That is negotiating. It's a process where you negotiate with creditors to settle a debt for less than what you owe. There are pros and cons of debt settlement and debt consolidation, and those kind of vary. Especially with regard to the amount of time that it's going to take to eliminate debts and the impact that it's going to have on your credit score. So just be aware of that. Now, both these, debt consolidation, debt settlement, both aim to make your debt more manageable. So that's a good, that's a pro. And when used properly, you can, they can either help you get out of debt sooner or save you money, or both. But again, you have to be strategic. You have to know if that's something that applies to your situation before diving into either of those options. And then we have debt management. Debt management is a strategic effort to eliminate unsecured debt like credit cards and medical bills. It is not a loan, but a program that educates you about your debt and teaches you how to manage it. So in a typical program, there are debt management companies, and they're going to work with the creditors on your behalf to reduce down your monthly payment and your interest rates on your debt, and waive or reduce any penalties. So that's a nice thing that they can do for you. The parties, meaning you and your creditor, agree on some sort of affordable payment schedule that allows you 3 to 5 years then to pay off your debt. A debt management plan is part of the package of a debt consolidation plan, and those are designed to help you regain control of your finances while reducing your unsecured debts. And I guess, what is the difference between secured and unsecured debts? So unsecured debts are something that has no collateral, like a credit card or a medical bill. Secured debts have collateral. They're backed up by collateral. So if you default on the debt, there's something that the creditor can come after. And that would be something like a mortgage or a car loan, something like that. Now, credit repair. What is credit repair? So that is the process of fixing bad credit or poor credit standing that may have deteriorated for a variety of different reasons. Repairing credit standing may be as simple as disputing the mistaken information on your credit report with the credit agencies, or if it's something like identity theft, then that may require more extensive credit repair work. And I do have a link for you guys here. Experian, which is one of the major credit reporting sites, has a nice little website. If I can get to you guys here. All right. There's the link. I think you guys got that. And so that's just kind of a rundown of all the different options, kind of some of the stuff that I'm talking about here. So if you guys want to have that link. Now, what is bankruptcy? Bankruptcy is basically, that's a legal process that ends up, you have to file a lawsuit and it ends up kind of forgiving your debt, if not all of it, then a portion of it. And there are several types of bankruptcy, but the two most popular ones are going to be Chapter 7 and Chapter 13. In a Chapter 7, certain assets are considered exempt, like your home, your car, your retirement savings, some of your home furnishings and tools, things like that. But everything else is liquidated, and the funds are then used to pay off your creditors. In a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you have a chance to reorganize your finances and come up with a plan to repay all or most of your debt in a time frame of about 3 to 5 years. Now, unlike debt settlement and debt consolidation, bankruptcy typically will wipe out all the unsecured debt, like credit cards and things like that. Although this may seem like a solution to your money problems, it will have lasting consequences on your credit report and on your credit ratings. So, bankruptcy can remain on your credit for up to 10 years. So you do definitely, before filing for bankruptcy, want to talk to someone about the pros and cons of that as well. So there are a lot of options out there with a lot of different pros and cons and potential pitfalls of scammers and stuff. So you want to make sure you're going to be working with a legitimate company. But moreover, you probably want to consider working with a financial planner to figure out which option is going to be best for you. There are financial planners. They're not just for the wealthy. There is a plethora of different financial planners, and a lot of them can work with you on flat fee or on hourly basis to just come up with your strategic plan. It's a matter of sitting down with them, filling out some forms where you basically are listing out all your debts and all your assets. They review it, then they have a consultation with you and build out a strategy plan. And so you can pay for that in an hourly or a flat fee system. And it works really well because then it's not like you're necessarily going to invest in them for long term, but you at least have a plan of action that then you can follow and then check in with them regularly as needed whenever you need help adjusting stuff. It's a really good person to have on your team to help support you through a debt reduction process. And let's see, they can also help you plan a budget and plan out the financial goals so that they'll say, hey, if you need to pay for college and pay off these credit cards, how are you going to do that? And so they'll be able to look at everything and help you build out that plan and so you can hit your goals. And they can often see opportunities that you don't see. All right, now to get to what everybody is here for. So some specific strategies that you can use to pay down debt. So one of the better strategies to implement, probably would have just been a couple months ago, would have been to get a 0% interest rate credit card or a low interest loan, personal loan, and transfer balances to that. So if you had several medical bills or credit cards or whatever, you can find some good credit cards out there, get a high enough balance, 0% interest rate for 18 months, that kind of thing. You consolidate all those, put them on your credit card at 0% interest, and then you have 18 months to basically try to pay that off. Now you do have to be aware that once that 0% is done, what is that rate going to jump to, and make sure that you are making the payments that you need to be making so that you don't fall into another trap there. Now, and the reason I say a couple months ago, because that was great, except that now with the current economic situation, lenders are starting to tighten their standards a little bit. So if your credit is less than stellar, it can actually be a little bit difficult to get these kinds of deals now. However, there is something you can do, and your first step should probably be to call your current credit lenders and ask them for a break. Apparently, only a small percentage of consumers are actually doing this right now. I read statistics on different websites, 7 to 9%. So very few consumers are taking advantage of this. But right now with the COVID situation, creditors, from what I'm hearing, are actually really willing to work with their consumers because they don't want you going into default on everything. That's not good for them. So they're going to be more willing to negotiate with you. So they can maybe work with you to lower interest rates for a little while, so that you're not hit with those as hard, maybe skip payments. But if you're skipping payments, be careful what the terms are going to be. Make sure that they're not continuing to accrue interest on any skipped payments or going to hit you at the end with some extra penalty or something like that. Keep in mind, though, that these breaks that they're offering right now, they're not automatic. And so you do have to ask for them. So that's going to take some time on your part. And this is one of the things that I actually did when we had our debt. And I was surprised at how the creditors, if you can talk to them, they actually are really willing to work with you. Sometimes I got 20, 30, 40% knocked off of our credit card debts simply by calling them like once a year and say, hey, can we, you know, I owe $1,000 here. I've got $500 now. If I pay you $500, what can you do for me? And they wouldn't necessarily give me 50% off, but they might give me, you know, they might take my 500 and then break it down into a couple more $100 or something like that. So, which, you know, at that time when we were really struggling, that was such a huge break for me. So it works, and that worked 15 years ago. I'm sure it'll work now too. And so try that. Don't be afraid to speak up for yourself and to ask for that. Let's see here. Along the same vein, you can also consider refinancing your debt. So interest rates right now are at an all-time low, which is fantastic. So again, it's going to maybe depend on your credit and how that's doing, but you can qualify for some really great interest rates right now on either personal loans or mortgage loans, home equity loans, things like that. So one of the strategies that we actually sometimes will use in our own divorce cases is that we'll refinance and we'll pull, so say a couple has equity in their house, they've got a really low mortgage, and so there's enough equity there that if we refinance the house, and sometimes we have to refinance it anyway to get it transferred into one person's name, we go ahead and say, hey, there's $20,000 of credit card debt here too. When we pull that refi, why don't we pull out a little extra cash to pay off those loans, and then it's basically rolled into your mortgage. And so if you do it right, and there are some rules, so you want to talk to a mortgage lending expert because there are rules and potential pitfalls with doing this as well. But it could be an option for you to pay off your loans, pay off your debts with just and actually decrease your mortgage. So a lot of people right now may be in like 4% mortgage rates. And, you know, I've been seeing them like 2-3%. And so you can actually lower your mortgage rate and pay off debt and still like end up with a lower monthly nut that you're paying. And so that can be a really great deal. Another option is the stimulus checks that are coming out right now. So some people, it may be a good opportunity for you to use the stimulus check to aggressively pay down debt. Now this strategy, again, is not for everyone. But if you have an emergency savings and you're comfortable with, and you have a stable job or a stable flow of income, then you know what, this may be something to consider. Many families have been able to cut back on spending with gas, eating out, and travel. And so paying down the debt right now with the stimulus check could be actually a really great option for you. Now, if you do manage to find the funds to pay down the debt, you should consider using the debt snowball method. So I can't have a debt seminar without talking about the debt snowball method, and some of you guys may already be familiar with that. But a debt snowball is basically, it's a method of debt repayment in which you list out each of your debts from smallest to largest, not including your mortgage, and then you devote extra money each month to paying off the smallest debt first while making only minimum monthly payments on all of the other debts. Now, there's another one I've seen where it's not necessarily that you're looking at the amount, you're looking at the interest rates. So if you really want to get kind of advanced with the debt snowball method, you're listing out the amounts of the debts that you owe, plus the interest rates that they're being charged. And then you do some combination of either paying off the high interest ones or the low interest, small amount, you know, whatever it is, you can figure out these different combinations. But basically, you start with the small, manageable, bite-sized pieces, you eliminate that debt, and then the payments that you would have been making towards that smaller debt can then go with the extra money towards the bigger debts and the bigger debts. And the idea is that basically it snowballs, and before you know it, you've paid off your debt. And it's a really effective method for a lot of people. That's why it's such a popular method to use. But certainly it's not the only one out there. There are other types of methods to pay down debt as well. But I just wanted to mention that. And Dave Ramsey has actually really popularized the snowball method. And so I'm going to put a link to his blog here where he talks about the debt snowball method. Let me get that copied to you guys. All right, so there's that blog. And so it goes into a little bit more detail about the debt snowball method. And so even if none of these other methods work for you, or none of, like, you don't qualify for any of these other things, you know, at least start there. And by the way, David Ramsey, you know, a couple of people I know have already used him. They use his methods, went to his baby step school and all that stuff, and they've paid off tons of debt that they never thought they would. So I would definitely look into that program if that's something that you might be interested in. Now, if you own a business that is carrying debt, consider using the federal loans and grants that are available right now to strategically and legally pay off your higher interest debt. So for example, if you have a line of credit from the bank, you may be able to use some of the lower interest rate federal loans or grants to pay off the credit line, and therefore saving you money and getting you out of debt, getting your business out of debt. Assuming, of course, that your business is doing well and you're able to do that. So that's another option that we have with COVID right now. So I just wanted to talk about a couple other little resources here that I'm going to put in the chat box for you. Copy that and put it here for you. All right. So again, Dave Ramsey, I just mentioned him. The other one, there was a NerdWallet. There's a couple other websites out there that they compare the different interest rates on credit cards. So that's just a starting place for you. So if you're thinking about doing those 0% transfer balances, you know, compare the different features of the credit cards. And so that's one of those websites that's comparing those features and those interest rates. And then there's a really cool tool. There's a couple of them out there. I just went to Bill Slasher. There's a couple others which I cannot remember the name of right now, but they all work very similarly. And so if you go to Bill Slasher, they, hold on, and actually maybe I can click on that. Nope, cannot do that. Let's see if I can do it from here. I'll show you what they do. It's kind of cool. I'd never heard of that before. Oh, did it come up? All right, so apparently they save money by you sign up with them. They negotiate some lower rates on your service providers. So it can be service providers like just your utilities even and stuff like that, and they'll actually find you better rates. And then I think you only pay, now their fee is 40% of the first year of savings paid out over 3 months. Some of the other ones that I found out there had different payment methods. Some were like you pay us a 30% paid out over maybe 2 months or something like. So just kind of look around, but that's kind of a cool thing too. So again, if you're maybe a little bit hesitant or short on time to do these negotiations yourself, they may be able to do that. But again, just make sure that you're using someone who's reputable, who is not going to do damage to your credit, and who is actually going to do it properly. So because there is that risk out there of scammers preying on people in your situation and then actually ruining your credit or doing some damage to your credit. So just be careful. All right, so as I stated before, I am not a financial expert, a financial planner, or a financial advisor. And at the end of the day, the things I've talked about, these are just ideas to get you thinking about your options. Honestly, there is no magic wand to eliminate debt, unfortunately. You know, it's going to take discipline and it's going to take a plan, but the good news is that it's totally doable. I know from personal experience, I know from the clients that I've seen apply these things, it is entirely up to you and in your power and control to do this. And it may not be easy, but it is doable. And again, that's why it's so important for you to build a team around you that can help you with this. And like I said, the first place to start would be getting a financial planner to help you start looking at some of your options and what you can do specifically. You know, and once you pay down your debt, you know, once you start doing it little bit by little bit, you're going to start feeling better and better. Your confidence is going to go up. And then once you've paid off that debt, it's going to feel amazing. And so just keep that in your mind on those, when you have those difficult times, like, how am I going to make this work? Oh, I'm sacrificing so much. It's worth it. So just remember that. And I encourage all of you guys to speak with a financial expert about your particular situation and the best plan of attack. And if you need referrals, we can certainly provide you with some too. So that's really all I have for now. I don't know if any of you guys have any questions or anything like that. I'm happy to take them. I don't know if you guys want to say something. Let's see here. Okay, I see one of you has your hand raised, but I'm not really sure how to take care of that. If you want to type your question into the chat box, you can do that, or into the Q&A box. I know how to address questions that way. Okay. Otherwise, if, oh, good, I'm glad. Okay, so y'all are there. It's kind of hard sometimes for me to be talking to the screen, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody's listening or if I'm hitting anything here. It's I can't see faces to gauge, you know, if I'm you know, connecting with you guys or not. So I really appreciate if you guys, oh, okay, no problem. So I really appreciate it when you guys have like feedback for me and stuff, so that I know, you know, if we're on target. Again, you know, let me know if there's anything on this topic. I know, you know, so many people in the debt elimination. I have credit repair specialists that we work with. Actually we just had a credit repair specialist help one of our clients before she filed for the divorce. Actually helped her get all her credit repair stuff kind of done beforehand. They worked out a plan. So she came to us wanting to file divorce. We recognized that there was some debts that it probably would have been better before we filed that she'd take care of. And so she spoke with that expert, worked out a great plan, got stuff taken care of, boosted her credit. We then filed, and now she's doing great. So, and it was a much more streamlined divorce process because of that too. And so it saved her some money in the divorce. So again, if you need financial planners, we've got a ton of financial planners too that can just sit down with you and build out a plan to figure out the types of debts you have, whether settlement or consolidation or loans or whatever, refinancing, all that stuff, whether those are options for you. Okay, so we have a couple questions. Okay, let's see here. So if my husband does not want to sign off on my taxes, should I just file separately? So I would suggest you talk to a CPA. So married filing separately is an option, but there are pros and cons to doing that. So I would suggest you speak with a CPA or tax strategist to talk about the pros and cons of doing that, because I do know that it can affect you in different ways. I am not a tax expert, and so I can't really go more into that. But I would urge you, and again, if you need a referral, we have a couple of great CPA referrals that we can refer you to that can answer that question for you in more detail and ethically. So, all right. Okay, so last parting words. Well, in order for us to plan a brighter future and become stronger, empowered women, we need to continue the conversation. So I would love for you guys to join us on our next video in our series, and the last one in this particular series. And it's personal wellness, how COVID-19's gift of time helps us refocus and improve our health. Like mindset, wellness is fundamental for us to thrive through crisis. So in our next and final webinar, we're going to break down wellness into mental wellness, physical wellness, and spiritual wellness, and really delve into ways that you can use crisis as an opportunity to improve your health in each of these categories. We will not be focusing on divorce as usual, and the information that we're going to be discussing is applicable to anyone. So please invite your friends and family to join us as well. And of course, lastly, don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Family Law DFW. That's Family Law DFW, as in Dallas, Fort Worth, to get the latest updates, resources, and inspiration to help you thrive through any crisis. And thank you all for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you guys at the next webinar next Thursday at 1. All right. Take care, you guys.